Since before time began.
Since before time began, before I ever started getting really deep into collecting Transformers, I've loved Batman. Always have, always will. Cause when I say I love Batman, I'm talking about all the different flavors, from the serious, the silly, the supernatural, the noir, to the downright stupid, cause I love it all. And yeah, I know I'm not saying anything special by saying I love Batman, but you know what? I don't care. Cause I love Batman so much, I'd go as far as to say he's my favorite superhero. No, character in all of fiction. I'll even go one step further and say I love Batman and the deep and juicy mythos that surrounds him more than Transformers. But weirdly enough though, I don't have on display my love for Batman like I do for my love of Transformers. Cause the most Batman related stuff I own are a couple comics, the Dark Knight trilogy on DVD, and a tumbler from my childhood. But even then, that pales in comparison to my Transformer collection. So me, being the plastic-addicted man-child that I am, noticed this absence of a good Batman figure a while ago. How long ago exactly? I'm not sure, I've lost track. But to give you an idea, my search started around the release of the DC Icons Batman. The first version anyways, which I almost got. But thankfully, I didn't. Cause ladies and gentlemen, mainly gentlemen, cause it's a sausage fest in this little corner of the internet. My name is Jib, and here with us this week is the Mafex Metacom re-release number 126, Hush Batman, otherwise known as my Holy Grail. Damn, that was a mouthful. But like always, if you like what I do here, consider liking, subscribing, and commenting, cause it means a lot. Thank you. Starting off with the box, it's actually got a very classy look to it, with beautiful pictures of the figure found all over it, and a see-through window right here at the front, making me nostalgic to when Hasbro still used plastic inserts. Enough about the box, cause here is Batman looking absolutely stunning, as this painting and sculpting on this figure is absolutely beautiful, as the subtlety of the highlights and shadows blend nicely with the sculpt, adding depth to the muscles found everywhere on Batman's skin-tight suit. And the belt, which I can't tell if it was just hit with a light black wash or also finely shadowed and detailed with an airbrush, cause who really cares, it looks nice. Meanwhile, the paint found everywhere else is generally applied pretty clean except for the right side of his cheek, which has a small little sploosh of the skin color right there, which I can't really ignore because of that price point, but I can ignore if I take my glasses off. Not trying to flex, it's just a small perk of having, deteriorating eyesight. As for the bat symbol, it's possibly the sharpest painted part on the entire figure. But I'm not gonna praise it too much, cause it's kind of obligatory, not only cause of the price, but can you imagine a Batman figure with a shittily painted bat symbol? It would be blasphemous. Like a Hispanic father who loves chivas but doesn't have alcoholism. Or like an American flag but without its stripes, you get what I mean? Anyways, I haven't really mentioned it much because I've been wanting to let the figure speak for itself, but this design of Batman is directly based off the works of Jim Lee, who's not only a GOAT in the comic industry but is also the GOAT for drawing Batman, as nobody in my opinion makes Batman look cooler in his underwear than Jim Lee. Cause this man's ability to draw Batman is so good, it can elevate an absolute stinker of a story that felt like a borderline schizo fanfic ramblings of a paranoid and traumatized Frank Miller into something worthwhile, but I'm getting off topic. My point is, this figure is insanely faithful to his work and is capable of recreating any Jim Lee panel you can think of. Yeah, even that one. And it's in large part due to the crazy articulation this figure possesses, which we'll get into right after the accessories. Because aside of this figure's biggest difference, with the blue version being, the color, the accessories are also slightly different, as our Dark Knight here doesn't have an unmasked Bruce Wayne head or kryptonite rings. But I don't really mind not having either of those, especially because of what is included. Cause this Batman has a pair of fisted hands, relaxed hands, spread out hands, battering hands, molded in battering hands, and molded in grapple hands. All of the hands are easily interchangeable through the infamous Mafex peg and slot, which are pretty well toleranced here, not gonna lie. But be careful regardless. But wait, cause we're not done yet. Cause he also includes an extended and loaded in grapple, both easily interchangeable though they don't really peg in firmly, and will fall out if you tilt them the wrong way. Also 2 sets of different batterings, both beautifully sculpted and picked out in silver. And they slide in just like that into either battering holding hand. An angry head that's pretty well painted for the scale, but by far my favorite accessory that the blue version doesn't seem to have has to be the display base / stand, which is beautifully sculpted and painted with multiple layers of blacks and grays and whites, making the details truly pop. And yes, the sculpt work is evocative of that one eagle gargoyle thing from Jim Lee's iconic Batman pose, so yeah, you can do the thing. The stand meanwhile hinges at 3 points and swivels at 2, with the claw being able to open and close nice and firmly. But if at any point it gets a little too loose, you can tighten it up from these screws, and vice versa if it feels too tight. Now for the impressive Baticulation. God, that sounds like a disease. He's got a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck, followed by a ball joint at the base, that when put together allow an unreal amount of movement. Butterfly joint at almost any direction. Ball joint and hinge at the shoulders that act like universals. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, another dumbbell joint up here that doubles as a waist swivel with more ab crunch at the bottom, and the belt isn't glued on so it just moves to accommodate the pose, because it's rubber. Legs are on drop hinges with ball joints at the end, and they can go up that far, barely back, but it does have an okay spread. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees, an ankle swivel followed by tilt, then pivot, with last but not least, toe tilt. Nice. The articulation is nothing short of incredible, with not only the range but the tolerances as well being perfect. And it's all complemented extremely well by the dynamic looking wired cape that is wired at 4 points but only firmly connected at 2, which I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but doesn't really matter because it still looks amazing while posed. Especially because of the size of this thing, because it's impressive. Though my only nitpick here comes down to a QC issue of the cape not being properly inserted underneath the cowl on the left hand side, which is infuriating at this price point and makes me want to beat up the underpaid Taiwanese worker that made this. Then again, the problem is fixable if the cape ever does come undone. It's just a matter of gluing it back in, otherwise the cape is pretty perfect. I think it's a good time for some size comparisons, cause here he is with Flame Toys Leo Prime, my custom Desperado who completely dwarfs him, and my last review, not video, who you should still go check out, and also my last video. Because if you like this, you're also going to like that. And also, you might as well just like, share, comment, and subscribe while you're at it. In conclusion, I love this figure if you haven't been able to notice, as it truly embodies the Batman in every way I imagine him. And while I was a little skeptical about the tolerances and materials of Mafex, after messing around with this guy for the better part of a month and a half, this figure has encouraged me to look into Mafex's catalog of figures, to which I'm already eyeing down my next Mafex purchase. And if anyone over at Mafex is watching this, a booster gold and blue beetle with this level of attention to detail and quality would be awesome. And would have me in so much ecstasy I wouldn't be able to post my reaction to YouTube because it would be breaking terms of service. Cause I'm not buying the McFarlane ones, please don't make me. Or am I? No, I'm not, that's a joke, I'm not doing that. I honestly rather make them myself, which isn't a bad idea. And with that, I'll be seeing you guys next week. And like always, thanks for watching. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watched last week's video. I wasn't expecting that video to do numbers, especially since it's me just talking about my opinion, so thank you. And in regard to the poll, I just wanted to say, your thoughts and opinions have been taken into account. Psych! Instead, I decided to buy the YOLO Park figures and more paint, so goodbye food budget.